Okay, hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Low Entrance YouTube channel. The AILET exam is over, and we are here with our first impressions. Along with me is Amitein sir, who has also written the exam. I also wrote the exam today, and we are ready to discuss. So, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I think definitely Govind, it's a lengthy paper actually, and that's what I would say. And because I keep on writing it every year, so I could sense that from the students who I was watching in my room. But one thing definitely is that this time the pattern did not change. अगर एक बार quick summary कर देते हैं, so it was on the expected lines. They did not experiment much, except for the fact that there were certain areas. I think they gave a lot of emphasis. Of course, one being analytical reasoning. I think that got a lot of emphasis today actually. Overall, I think the paper was easy except for the GK part. एक्सेप्ट फॉर द जीके पार्ट ऑफ कोर्स बट एक्सेप्ट उसमें भी एक दो चीजें ऐसी हैं कि मतलब अगर स्टूडेंट्स ने मैराथन अटेंड किया था या आपके सेशंस अटेंड किए थे या सालिक सर के सेशन अटेंड किए थे तो वो डेफिनेटली आराम से कर लेते उन सारे क्वेश्चन को. अब कुछ क्वेश्चंस तो अजीबोगरीब होते हैं एलेट में हर साल, सो दैट वी कैन ऑलवेज एक्सपेक्ट. तो फॉर एग्जांपल टीडीएस वाला जो क्वेश्चन है मेरे सेट में फर्स्ट था, तो वो डेफिनेटली यू डोंट एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम अदर, बट दैट काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस कैन बी कवर्ड बाय एनएलयू दिल्ली, सो दैट वी डू अंडरस्टैंड. सो मुझे लगता है ओवरऑल अगर मैं पेपर की बात करूं, माय परसेप्शन, माय एनालिसिस वुड बी इंग्लिश वाज slightly lengthier, not very one, slightly lengthier. English manageable था, बिल्कुल आराम से टाइम मैनेज करके आप कर सकते थे. Questions I thought were more or less direct and could have been easily approached. अच्छे से पढ़ के आराम से एक बार अगर ढंग से पढ़ लिया तो दोबारा वापस पैसेज जाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. GK, as I mentioned, it definitely seemed difficult, and bringing that static GK angle, I think, because of which definitely even the current affairs was quite different actually, and not the way I think most students would have thought of, or even I didn't thought of कि इस तरीके से पूछा जाएगा. And logical reasoning, given that analytical was there, I think scoring वहाँ पर compensate हो जाएगी for the length of the passage. That is what my suggestion would be. मुझे लगता है कि मतलब आराम से बच्चों ने अटेम्प्ट किया होगा क्योंकि टाइम इज डेफिनेटली नॉट अ कंस्ट्रेंट ओवर हियर. Okay, so we'll come to the attempts and everything. Before that, let's look at your thought as well.
Absolutely, sir. I completely agree with your notion that paper was easy, on the easier side. GK, as you said, there were a few obscure questions, but I believe that 23, 24 questions were easily doable if people had attended the classes, rightly said by you. And talking about the English section, thoda sa lengthy tha, but it was easy. It was on the easier side. No question was very problematic. When we come to logical reasoning, kuch questions the jo that required probably a second attempt or spending some time on them, which were probably to waste students' time. It was a lengthy section. The logical reasoning section was a lengthy section for sure. There were only 4 questions which were purely legal reasoning per se. Rest of them जिनमें legal principle and facts भी थे वो भी actual reasoning questions ही थे. So that was my take. Many of you are asking attempts. What should be a good number of attempt? पहले आप लोग बताओ आप लोग कितना attempt करके आए हो, फिर मैं बताता हूँ कि कितना अच्छा नंबर होना चाहिए. Please tell your attempts.
Let the students come with their attempts actually. Okay, Priyanka is saying is 140 a good attempt. Definitely a good attempt. Superb attempt है. Doctor साहब का भी attempt 140 है. What about others?
Please put in your number of attempts in the chat box, people. Everyone, please put in your number of attempts. And if you have any other thought on the paper, कि आपको कैसा लगा, lengthy लगा, easy लगा, moderate लगा, difficult लगा, what are your first reactions? Those are important as well. Okay, Arman has attempted 145. I hope the accuracy is also up to the mark. Was it more easy? And
Arman is anyways headed to Bangalore, so he got All India rank 93 in Plat.
Oh, lovely! Congratulations. Muskan is saying, was it more easy than last year? So, what do you think? Last year के comparison में?
See, I think the paper might have got lengthier, but more or less it was very similar. एंड मतलब in terms of the number of attempts, I don't think कि मतलब किसी भी कम attempt रहे होंगे, उतना difficult नहीं था. So it was like only GK slightly I think was kind of bit of different this time as compared to the last year. And as I said, analytical reasoning में देखो AR आने से क्या हो गया कि जो reading effort था, जो paper का length है, मतलब one could see 40 pages हैं यार, मतलब overall 44 pages है, उसमें 40 pages तो questions हैं. So 40 pages is not so easy read actually when you are appearing for an examination and all like that. Already एक mental block होता है, एक stress होता है definitely. तो 40 pages का paper attempt करना वो definitely इतना आसान नहीं होगा. तो लेंदी तो था definitely, जैसा हम बोल रहे हैं, बच्चे भी एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं कि ये चीज definitely लेंदी था पेपर. बट कंपेयर टू लास्ट ईयर आई थिंक थोड़ा सा I would rate it slightly easier, not much.
Same. I completely agree to that. Also, logical reasoning में कुछ ऐसे questions थे like which were proper puzzles, but they had only one question to answer based on that puzzle. So वहाँ पे
Thank you.
students had to take a call that whether to invest time on that particular puzzle or whether to invest time on critical reasoning questions, because time crunch हो सकता है काफी students ने face किया हो. I can see most of you have attempted somewhere around 130, 140, but yes, that is a very good attempt. In my personal opinion, anything above 135 is a very good attempt in this paper if your accuracy is not suffering. So what is your thought on that?
नहीं मतलब can you come up again? मतलब
I was saying 135 plus is a good attempt in this paper. It's
a wonderful attempt. I would not say कि देखो पेपर अगर कंपेयर कर रहे हैं तो इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि अटेम्प्ट्स बहुत ज्यादा, क्योंकि लेंथ को भी हमें ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा. व्हाटएवर द डिफिकल्टी लेवल ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इज, लेंथ को हमें डेफिनेटली ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा. तो मतलब वो कंपनसेट हो जा रहा है इजी होने की वजह से. तो टाइम मैनेजमेंट यहाँ पे बड़ा गेम था. मतलब तो टाइम मैनेजमेंट अगर अच्छे से कर लिया, स्पीड मेंटेन किया हुआ, तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कोई प्रॉब्लम है. Anything above 120 but with a good accuracy of 90% is definitely a wonderful attempt, I would say. मतलब लेट मी रिवील, अगर मैं बात करूं कि अगर मैं लास्ट ईयर कट ऑफ की बात करता हूं, लास्ट ईयर कट ऑफ वाज ऑन द हायर साइड एक्चुअली. सो इट वेंट अप टू 205.75 इन द फर्स्ट कट ऑफ लिस्ट फॉर द जनरल कैटेगरी. मुझे नहीं लगता है कि ड्रॉप होता हुआ मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. इफ यू लुक एट स्टूडेंट्स का अटेम्प्ट भी अगर हम बात करते हैं तो मोर और लेस वहीं पर है. मतलब लास्ट ईयर के तरीके से लास्ट ईयर थोड़े अटेम्प्ट कम रहे होंगे, इस बार बच्चों ने अटेम्प्ट भी अच्छा किया. 140 वाले लोग भी यहाँ पे 130 प्लस डेफिनेटली हैं. तो मुझे लगता है कि एक दो चीजें ऐसे हैं जो एक दो मतलब एक पॉइंट ऊपर ही जा सकता है. मुझे कम होता हो तो फिलहाल के लिए नहीं दिख रहा है, बट दिस इज ऑफ कोर्स द फर्स्ट इंप्रेशन एक्चुअली. जैसे जैसे और स्टूडेंट्स का रिएक्शन आएगा स्कोर कैलकुलेटर पे, विल गेट टू नो बेटर.
Absolutely. And in just a few minutes, we are getting to the actual paper solving. So we'll solve the whole paper section by section, give you the right answers, which we feel are the right answers. And you guys can also calculate your score thoda based on that. That would give you a good indication as to where do you currently stand with respect to number of correct questions. Of course, we'll be looking at the official answer key, which would come in due course of time. But the detailed paper solving is going to start in few minutes. Till then, sir, एक और question ये है मेरा कि what do you think would have been the right way to approach this paper? क्या order में चलना चाहिए था? क्या English पहले करनी चाहिए थी? GK पहले करनी चाहिए थी? LR पहले करनी चाहिए थी?
नहीं, आई थिंक देखो वो तो ऑफ कोर्स स्टूडेंट के स्ट्रैटेजी पे डिपेंड करता है. जिसका जो कंफर्ट लेवल है, आई थिंक दे शुड स्टिक टू दैट. दैट इज व्हाट माय ऑलवेज पॉइंट इज. सो इफ यू आर रियली कंफर्टेबल विद एनी पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन, irrespective of what kind of questions you know that you can do well, stick to that. बट यहाँ पर मुझे लगता है कि आई थिंक जिनका AR अच्छा होगा, दोज हु आर रियली गुड इन एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग, दे शुड हैव कंप्लीटेड दैट फर्स्ट. सो यहाँ पे इंडिविजुअल अप्रोच है बेसिकली. सो आई वोंट से कि देयर इज वन foolproof approach which definitely works over here. So but if I'm comfortable with English, I would start with English. If I'm comfortable with GK, it's all about saving that time for the other section where I would need more time actually. So यहाँ पर भी approach वही रहना चाहिए था.
Right, absolutely. All right. Do you guys have any questions? I think all of you now want to know the cutoff. कि cutoff कितना जाएगा? So सर ने थोड़ा सा हिंट तो दे दिया कि लास्ट ईयर से possibly 1 or 2 marks plus, but definitely not minus. This was relatively easier as compared to last year, despite the length, despite a few tricky questions. Blazinkin is saying I did GK, English, and logical. Interesting. Okay. Expected cutoff ही पूछ रहे हैं सर. Arman is saying छोले कुलचे. Yes, छोले कुलचे is done.
अरमान, अब छोले कुलचे नहीं खाएंगे, अब हम बैंगलोर आकर के साउथ इंडियन डिश खाएंगे आपके साथ, एंड होपफुली दिल्ली में आओगे तो छोले कुलचे डेफिनेटली खाएंगे यहाँ पे, बट और भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. Anyway, see, if I look at let me share last 3 years cut off actually. So let me start with 2022. 2022 का जो पेपर था ना, उसमें भी 90.25 का कट ऑफ गया था फर्स्ट लिस्ट में जनरल कैटेगरी में. 2023 में सरप्राइजिंगली जब उन्होंने मर्ज किया था इंग्लिश एंड लॉजिकल रीजनिंग सेक्शन को, एंड इट वाज एक्सपेक्टेड कि रीडिंग टाइम कम हो गया क्योंकि उतना एफर्ट नहीं लगाना है, सेम पैसेजेस से सारे क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, 12 क्वेश्चंस गेटिंग कवर्ड थ्रू दी सेम पैसेजेस, बट only 12 people managed to got a score of 80 plus at that in that particular year in that paper. थोड़ा लेंदी तो डेफिनेटली लग गया था, तो 72.75 था फर्स्ट लिस्ट में, बट 2024 में अगेन लाइक आई वुड से आज और 24 में बहुत ज्यादा फर्क नहीं, एक्सेप्ट फॉर द लेंथ ऑफ द पेपर एंड मोर एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस. तो लास्ट ईयर फर्स्ट कट ऑफ लिस्ट वाज ऑलमोस्ट 105.75 which is 106. So if I take all this into consideration and I analyze from that perspective कि difficulty level पिछले 3 सालों में कैसे रहे, 4 सालों में कैसे रहे, I believe at this point of time I don't see any change. The cutoff is expected to be around 105, 106 in the first list for sure. That's my take.
My take would be 107, 108 because comparatively I think थोड़ा सा easy paper था, and a lot of students have attempted a good number of questions. We can see few of them in the chat box as well. So अगर students की accuracy अच्छी है, there are just 60-70 odd seats for AILET if I'm not wrong. So I think the competition is very intense here. The cutoff
technically if you see now 47 seats in general category, overall सब मिला करके 110 है, and this is the only national university where you do not have state based reservation, so there's no domicile based reservation, so every seat goes for all India basis. Every seat goes for India basis, and the female students who must have done really better, they would have higher chance of selection because as again some of the NLUs in CLAT, NLU Delhi gives 30% horizontal reservation for female students actually. So they definitely have a high chance of securing maximum number of seats because it's about horizontal. So that 30% is definitely there for you, and all the girls, the remaining 70% is also for you actually. So so you have a very great chance. If you have done well, then you might definitely fancy your chance at NLU Delhi.
All right, that is interesting. So keep a lookout for the final answer key. We'll also be coming out with the session when it comes out, and we'll also discuss the CLAT results which were released late night last day, and we'll have an exclusive session possibly in a day or two whenever the grievance window closes and the results are consolidated, so we can have a session on that as well. For now, we are moving on to the paper solving session where Salik sir is joining me, and we'll be starting with the GK section, discussing all the answers with you for your convenience so that you can check whether your answers are correct or not. So I would request you all to join that particular stream. The YouTube video, the stream is available on the YouTube channel. I'll also put the link of that particular stream here. Just give me a moment and you guys can join that. I'll also join along with Salik sir and see you all there.
Chalo, all the best guys, and hopefully Wednesday or Thursday the results will be out for AILET 2. So सोने का समय नहीं मिलने वाला है.
Right, and of course there are the SLAT marathons coming in, so stay tuned for that as well. Abhi ke liye for now join this particular stream, and I'm also catching you up there. Please join the stream and we'll discuss the GK section and uske baad the English section and the logical section as well. Chalo, let's begin. Thank you so much Amitav sir, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in another session. All right guys, I'm ending this particular stream. Please join me there.